invest, to build factories, to build infrastructure. That's how you get rich. You borrow to invest. But what we've been doing recently is we've been blowing money. We've been borrowing to consume. We've dissipated wealth. We've spent ourselves into poverty. No, we're not the low-tax, low-regulation country we used to be.
Hold on, Peter. Go ahead, Steve.
Last I looked, at the end of the third quarter, consumers in this country had financial assets net of $30 trillion.
No, we're broke,
Throw in
Steve.
housing, $50 trillion.
Steve, we
if
can't
$50
afford
trillion
to pay the
of net
interest.
assets is going broke, give me more of it.
And George
Steve,
Gilder,
you've been
the fact
wrong for
is
years.
that there are a lot of people working in their basements, working with companies that are still inventing things that eventually will come on the market and people will buy them, correct?
Hold on. That's right. And that's what will determine whether we can supply the baby boomers with health care 20 years from now. It's the utter transformation of the U.S. economy and the global economy during that period. Tens of trillions of dollars, new wealth, tens of trillions of dollars all around the world will be generated. What will determine whether this money ends up in the United States is whether we have low tax rates, freedom,
Peter, you know what you're doing, you're making
dollar.
a fatal mistake, I think, Peter, in my humble opinion. Hold on a second. What you're doing is mistaking wealth for riches. You're right. Some of our riches have depleted because we got off the gold standard, a lot of other things. But we still have wealth, which is the capacity to create something new. We have that spirit. We haven't lost it, Peter.
No. Well, how come, you can go back. I've been coming on these shows for 3 or 4 or 5 years. Every single prediction I've made about the dollar, about commodities, about oil, about housing, about mortgages, everything I've said has pretty much panned out the way I've said it. I don't think I'm mistaken on anything.
And
I think I have this whole situation
George
nailed.
Gilder has written books about how the microchip would progress in ways which turned out to be exactly true.
It's got nothing to do with the economic fundamentals or the rotten
It has
shape
to do with our
in.
country, and there is something
But he hasn't been right on these markets.
There is something intangible about the way this country works, a combination of freedom, economic liberty that creates wealth and creates enterprise, even though, as you're right, some of our riches may be drawn down at different points.
No, we are in serious shape. If our economy was in good shape, the dollar would be rising. It wouldn't be falling.
All right.
We'd have a current account surplus. We'd have a trade surplus.
The Federal Reserve learned central banking. They should read a book, Central Banking for Dummies. They need a new lesson.
Well, I agree with that. They help debase our money and destroy our economy.
They did debase the money.
All right. I think everybody agrees that the Fed's made some terrible mistakes and that the dollar, by the way, if we had linked the dollar to gold, as Steve was once suggesting about 15 years ago, oil would be about $30 a barrel. So
no, it would be $3.60 a barrel.
There you go. It depends when you linked it. So I think we all agree with that, Peter, but the question is America's future. We think it's secure because it's still strong.
It's not strong. It's a facade. It's a house of cards, and it's about to cave in. You got to read my book,
Steve. We have to agree to disagree on that point.
How long has he been saying this, by the way?
I've been right.
I mean, I've been debating people saying exactly the same thing all through the 80s, all through the 90s, and now again. It's just they keep always the United States is going down the drain.
Go on YouTube. Watch my clips.
Polishing the shoes of the Japanese about now.
I've had this thing pegged from the beginning.
All right, we're gonna leave it with that with Peter Schiff's peg. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate you coming on. George Gilder, Steve Forbes, great to see you as well.
Thank you, David.
Coming up on deck, the winners and losers of the countrywide financial deal power rankings when Scoreboard continues.